The LP Innovations Radio Network presents True Crime, the podcast series that explores real stories of employee theft. Employee theft costs companies billions in losses each year, and these dishonest behaviors can create collateral issues both inside and outside of the business. True Crime examines actual retail theft cases to demonstrate the techniques dishonest employees use, the opportunities they exploit, and as an example, the signs of dishonest behavior. The names and locations have been changed to protect the participants' identities, but all the cases are true crime. Today's episode we call Casino Royale. They say you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but often we do just the same. I didn't have many reasons to believe this particular store, close to my home, nestled in an upscale and mostly quiet mall, would ever be a shrink problem. My confidence was reaffirmed by the regular cycle counts that demonstrated only minor losses, the kind of stuff that could easily be shoplifting, or perhaps an error in the hand counts. There was one additional comfort. The district manager made his office in the store's back area. Neither myself nor the DM immediately panicked when the inventory returned a loss of $95,000. That may not seem like a lot, but for a small $4 million location, the loss was equal to about 2.5% of sales. This was a company where most stores ran at less than 1.5%. In other words, 2.5 was a failure, and one that required solutions. I met with the DM to review the inventory results. He was certain that the poor inventory was driven by error. I'm in here a lot, he told me, and it's a small but a good team operating the store. I learned that the team did not include a store manager. The assistant and keyholder have been running things while I interview candidates, he told me, as if that settled it. And the cycle counts don't reflect the losses, I asked. A cheerleading session for his team seemed a bit ridiculous considering the situation. No, they've been fine all year. The cycle count process involved physically counting merchandise in rotating departments throughout each month, so I asked, "Are you certain they've actually been counting the stuff?" He gave me a half nod. His expression suggested he hadn't considered that the good but small team might just be faking the numbers. It had happened before. It didn't mean the employees were stealing, it just meant they were lazy. We reviewed the inventory losses. No particular department stood out. The losses were spread across all of them. We looked at the incoming shipments, the transfers, the mark out of stocks, and even verified that there was no anomalies in book adjustments at the corporate level. The store kept a known loss log to track shoplifting losses. There were a few entries, but nothing that hinted at the $95,000 gap in the store's inventory. The district manager didn't like my deduction, but it seemed clear enough. Either the employees were completely unaware of a major shoplifting issue, or they were stealing. "Are you going to interview the staff?" the DM asked. "Eventually," I answered, "but first, I want to see what they see and do when we're not around." Before I left the store, I made friendly and casual conversation with the staff. None of them asked about the shrink results, none offered any solutions, so I took an, these things happen posture. The keyholder, Michael, was a big and friendly guy. He was soft-spoken, and we chatted briefly about the work and about his retail background. The assistant manager, Tanya, wasn't as relaxed. She acted pleasant enough, but avoided eye contact and worked to avoid me the entire time I was there. I left them with the message that, if it would help, I could come back in a few weeks and give them a quick primer on spotting and deterring shoplifting. They responded with polite nods. That night, I returned with my covert camera equipment and installed it over the checkout register. The DM would change out the tapes every 2 days, and I would pick them up off-site at the end of each week. I met with the district manager a week later, and he handed me the first 4 tapes. "Do you really think you'll find anything on these?" he asked, handing me the videos. "I mean, even if they were stealing, wouldn't they slow down after this terrible inventory?" "Maybe," I answered, "but think of it this way. If it is them, they've been stealing about $2,000 a week, and that is a hard habit to give up." Video reviews can be tedious. You can run through hours of recordings in search of that one event that reveals dishonesty. In this case, I didn't get past the first day, and every subsequent day there was something new and exciting to observe. The store was operating on 3 employees, an assistant manager, a keyholder, and a part-timer, and each was passing off merchandise. The keyholder, Michael, however, was doing the most spectacular job of it. People would approach him with arms full of merchandise. He gave each pile a cursory look the way a dry cleaner sorts through your stuff when you dump it on the counter. After some inspection, a calculator was employed, and words were exchanged. I couldn't, and I didn't need to hear the words. This was a negotiation. The shopper would hand over some cash, Michael counted it, and then fanned out the money across the counter as if he were a blackjack dealer revealing cards or a magician preparing his trick. A fair deal established for each. The money went into his pocket, the merchandise went into a bag, or in some cases, many bags. The transactions played out every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Sometimes a single item for $10, other times a pile of merchandise for a fan of $20 bills. Michael might have played let's make a deal roulette with his customers, but I had hit the jackpot. And he wasn't alone. The assistant manager engaged in her own pass-offs. Nothing as grand as the private enterprise of her keyholder, but pass-offs and discounts just the same. The part-timer spent less time at the cash register, so his part was small, almost inconsequential compared to his supervisor's. I made some quick estimates as to the amounts. It's important to go into an interview with all the ducks in a row, all the facts in hand, but in this case, the clock was ticking. The significant loss had drawn much attention. Clearly the employees were the cause, and it wouldn't be long before they disappeared in search of greener pastures. I had to move quick, but I also had to ensure I scooped them all in a single afternoon, or I would risk the word passing that their side businesses were coming to a close. Hi, this is Ray Esposito from LP Innovations. Are you dealing with an organized retail crime problem? Or maybe worried over the increase in strong-arm pharmacy robberies? Or perhaps just concerned that you may be someone's next target? Well, LP Innovations offers today's next step in ORC and robbery investigation and resolution with our BlueTracks tracking devices. Used by hundreds of law enforcement agencies across the nation, BlueTracks is the smart and affordable tech that will significantly increase your case resolution and substantially reduce your costs and resource drain. Our patented 3-tier tracking technology combines GPS, LBS, and RF signal tracking to deliver the most advanced and most accurate devices on the market. Other devices only offer 1 or 2 layers, which means you're left praying for clear skies or driving around a neighborhood hoping to spot your suspects. With BlueTrack's 3-tiered approach, you'll be able to track thieves to within a few feet. And with decades of experience in the industry, we've designed trackers that blend into your product environment, are easy to use, easy to maintain, and easy to set up. Our email, text alert, and web mapping software lets you monitor more targets from a central or remote location without requiring that you spend your day staring at a product rack. With BlueTracks, you finally have a true set-it-and-forget-it solution. Our BlueTracks devices come in a variety of ready-to-install casings, and we offer customized solutions for every need. So whether you're tracking high-ticket theft items, pharmaceuticals, cargo, or cash, BlueTracks is the effective solution for today's theft issues. To learn more and schedule a free demo, visit us on the web at lpinnovations.com, contact a solutions expert at 877-574-6682, or send us an email at solutions@lpinnovations.com. And now back to our True Crime podcast. I started with Michael, the biggest fish in the pond. We sat in the manager's office, a space that became very small when filled with his 275-pound frame. Throughout the interview, Michael nodded and listened. His expression never changed. It was calm and almost contemplative. Had I not seen the video, I may have believed he had little involvement. When I asked him about the first time he stole, there was an uncomfortable pause as if he hadn't heard me. "Michael," I repeated, "when was the first time you kept the money from a sale?" "My first week, I guess," he answered. We went through the standard questions establishing the whens and the wheres. After the first question, he spoke without hesitation and with full knowledge of the frequency and amounts he had taken. So I asked him, "Michael, what do you think is the total amount of merchandise you sold and kept the money for yourself?" He didn't pause. He didn't even need to calculate. He knew the answer immediately. "A little over 80,000, he said. "You seem pretty certain of that number," I responded. "Yes," he answered. "I sold everything at 40% of the ticket price if they paid cash." He paused and then added, "I made about 33 grand. Tanya didn't put up any more of a fight than her keyholder. She was, however, less apologetic about her actions. She admitted to almost $5,000 in pass-offs. I asked her if she was aware of her keyholder's actions. "I told him not to do so much," was her angry response. The part-timer didn't spend a lot of time on the register, and most everything he stole was for his own use. I closed the case with the prosecution of the assistant and the keyholder. There was too much money and too much evidence for it to go any other way. Neither fought the case. The police and district attorney had everything they needed to prosecute, and the last I heard, Michael was still making monthly payments to pay back his $83,000. The DM, of course, was shocked. He hadn't expected we'd find so much dishonesty. The employee confessions added up to 90 of the missing 95,000. I couldn't pass on the opportunity to be a little snarky with him, so I said, "Well, I found my 90. I'll assume you can find the remaining 5. In loss prevention, we often talk about 1 in 10 employees stealing. We often cite employee theft as being responsible for 40 to 50% of all losses. I believe it, and in my experience, only a major systemic flaw or internal theft can drive a store shrink into the 3% or above range, or double shrink in a single year. But there's something of equal importance to remember. Percentages and averages in terms of employee theft contemplate the entire workforce. We can never dismiss the possibility that in some stores, all the shrink can be driven by employee theft. In some stores, a culture can evolve where every employee becomes dishonest. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Consequently, when we rely strictly on those same employees' self-reporting, we must also consider the need for tools to objectively verify the results they are providing. Without a system of trust but verify, we may find only too late that we've left the fox in charge of the henhouse. The True Crime Podcast is a production of the LP Innovations Radio Network, written and narrated by executive producer Raymond Esposito. Associate producers Heather Beeland and Molly Janelle. Musical score licensed through Shockwave Sound. The names, locations, and some details have been changed to protect the participants' identities. All suspects are considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The views and opinions of this broadcast do not necessarily reflect those of LP Innovations, its executive board, management, or staff. LP Innovations and Blue Tracks are registered trademarks. Copyright 2015, all rights reserved.